This month, the month of May, marks the 5-year anniversary of when my life turned upside down. One day, I swear it felt like a light switch had been flipped. And I went from healthy, happy, radiant to high anxiety, and then acid reflux, and then depression, light sensitivity, chemical sensitivity, adrenal fatigue, chronic fatigue, fibromyalgia, aches, pains. It was just crazy. And all these symptoms led to a Lyme diagnosis in July of 2018. And the reason I'm sharing this story with you today is if I could recover from that and get my life back and be even more vibrant and have more energy than I've had in my life and doing things that I never thought I would do before, you can do it too. I really swore, I felt like I was never going to get my life back. I thought I was going to continue to decline, end up in a wheelchair because I was close to being bedridden. And I just thought that was going to be my world, that it was just going to be a steady decline. But thank God for my functional medicine doctor and my determination, I was able to recover. And I'm going to share some of the tools along with my journey telling you today, and how I had to have goals and I had to break those down into incremental steps. And I had to be persistent. I had to work on my mindset. So many things led me to where I am today. And if I could do that, you can do that. And I'm not just talking about recovering from an illness. It could be any goal in your life. The same steps that I did to get where I am today, you can integrate that into any goal that you want, any aspiration, and reach those goals and get the life that you dream of. These photos kind of represent the beginning, even though this is a 2019 and it really began in 2018, to where I am fully recovered, because the March 2019 photo depicts when I was super skinny. I was down to below 80 pounds. And yeah, I was super skinny. I still have anxiety in this photo. And you could tell I look pretty unhealthy. To May of 2020, when I claimed my recovery, enjoying life, and having my life back. And that middle photo, guys, the comparison from March 2019 to 2020, 1 year, and that's when I started doing NDRS, my brain retraining was actually, I started in May 2019. Look at the difference. I am wearing makeup in the second one, but you can tell in May 25th, from the March 2019, look at the difference. So, and another thing, that March 2019, you can tell I am straining to smile. And that was one thing I remember telling my mom, that I was so sad because I felt like the disease had taken my smile away. As you can tell, if you follow me, I love smiling. I'm pretty happy. I'm pretty upbeat. And I remember walking through a Target and straining to smile. And the anxiety was so high. I just wanted to get out there. I was trying to enjoy myself. And it hurt to smile. And it just broke my heart. So I'm so happy to have my smile back. And so let's go from the beginning. May 5th. Well, this picture is actually May 4th. If you know you're a Star Wars fan, May the 4th be with you. This represents how happy I was beginning to feel in my skin. And that was the first time I really took a selfie. I was feeling good about myself. I really thought I had come into my own. And little did I know that going to the dentist a couple of weeks later would just turned my world upside down. And sure enough, I went to the dentist to have a crown replaced. And that's where I had my first panic attack. That night, I laughed it off. I told people about it. No big deal, I thought. Well, later on that night, I had even a worse panic attack. And I ended up calling my mom. She helped me get through the night. And I had some OCD kicked in heavily. And yeah, that was one of the scariest nights I've ever had. And it steadily got worse. I ended up having panic attacks like 24/7, constant. That's when the heartburn started kicking in. And then the food sensitivities, brain fog. And that's when the aches and pains started coming in. It was these host of problems. And I knew something was wrong. I was like, this isn't me. What is going on? And it was really confusing. At first, I thought it was hormones because I read about, these symptoms could be hormones. So I went through a couple of gynecologists, but they just wanted to put me on birth control. I didn't want to do that. That didn't seem right. That's a clue to go with your instinct, go with your gut instinct. If something is like, this isn't right, keep on pursuing, looking for answers. And I've always been one for a more holistic approach too. And I knew the birth control that they wanted to put me on causes anxiety. I'm like, I don't want anything more that will cause anxiety. So I kept on looking. I posted on Facebook, and long story short, and I also, before I go there, I did go to a psychiatrist. He wanted to put me on antidepressants. He said, oh gosh, he called me some kind of depressant. And I'm like, that's not what's going on. He said, it's not anxiety. And I'm like, yes, it is. It's crazy. So anyways, I never went back to him. I'm like, that's not the way. Somebody wanted to put me on Xanax. And I'm like, I don't want that either. So anyways, someone recommended this functional medicine doctor, Dr. Milky. And thank goodness for her, because she is the one that diagnosed me with Lyme disease. And like I was saying, I'm May 2018. I'm trying to have fun. You can tell I'm forcing a smile there. Father's Day, still kind of forcing a smile. Those pictures almost look identical, but they are a month apart. I'm trying to live life, but I was experiencing that anxiety, but trying to make the best of it. And here's a photo of us, July 2018, right before I got my Lyme diagnosis. And we took a family trip, and we went to Lassen Park, and I really wanted to go to Kings Fall, but I couldn't. The anxiety for one, and the adrenal and chronic fatigue was too much. I could only hike in like, oh my gosh, 50 feet, maybe 50 yards. I don't know. My son and husband continued onto the falls while my mom and I stayed in the truck with the AC and tried to make the best of it. I did in 2020, summer 2020, I did hike the falls, and it was amazing. But here I wasn't able to. And again, here I am smiling, trying to make the best of life at this moment, even though I was confused and wondering, what can I do? What's going on? So again, I went to Dr. Melky, and she always does a Lyme test for all of her new patients. And she diagnosed with me with Lyme disease. Well, with the diagnosis came herbal supplements. It was hard for me to take them because of my anxiety. I couldn't take medications. The thought of trying new medications would push me over the edge. Thank God my mom came. She helped me. I started taking the medication, and it started helping a little bit. And as you can tell, here in November 2018, you can see how skinny I was getting because my food choices were getting slimmer and slimmer because I kept on having reactions to all kinds of different foods. So, and like I said, there I am. But I started feeling a little bit better. And I started juicing in December of 2018 with the medical medium protocol. That helped a little bit, helped ease some of the anxiety. Cucumber juice and celery juice helped with that. But you can tell, like December 2018, my smile is getting a little bit easier. And the medical medium community was really a great community of people. And then January 2019, so the smile is coming a little bit better, getting a little bit more life in my face. March 2019, I cut off my hair. I get getting, like I said, getting a little bit more comfortable again in my skin. And I even swinging on a swing, as you can see, March 2019. And life was getting better, but it was a very slow process that still had a long host of symptoms. The numbness and tingling was slowly going away because the celery juice helped with that. April 2019, as you can tell, I'm taking some selfies because I'm starting to feel a little bit better. Plus, I wanted kind of a document what I was going through. But I felt beautiful in that April 2019 photo because I loved wearing dresses. And then May 2019 is when I started the DNRS. And that's when things really changed. DNRS is a program where you start retraining your brain and start calming down your limbic system. Your limbic system is responsible of that fight, flight, or freeze response. And what happens if a lot of times with trauma, and there was a lot of things that happened. You know, my stepfather passed away in April of 2018, a month before my perfect storm. There was a lot of things that happened that was very traumatic, I believe, and that caused my limbic system to be stuck in that fight, flight, or freeze. And I think the dentist appointment just was the last trigger that just snapped it into place. So the DNRS helps you calm down your limbic system. And what's cool about DNRS is you start doing incremental training. And one of my goals is to eat whatever I want. So I had to figure out how I was going to get there from where I was at that moment where I couldn't eat so many things. I was having so many reactions. So I would have to take, like the hamburger that you'll see that I ate on my birthday. I started out with a little teeny weeny bite, and then I kept on adding a little bit more. So that's one thing that I've learned through the process is take big goals, do little steps, incremental training. Incremental training, I think, is the same as taking one little step at a time towards your goal. And one thing that you did too in the program is you did past visualizations where you bring up something from the past to bring up some happy emotions, and you are able to bring that into future visualizations. And that was key too. That's so huge. That's why I talk about it a lot when I work with my clients, and I'm working on doing a dreamscaping workshop where we will do that together. But yeah, you bring in all your senses, your smell, your sight, what you feel, what you taste. I know I'm missing one. I know there's 5 of them, but it brings in all 5 senses. And it's incredible. I really think that is key while you're going towards your goals too. You have to visualize what you're going to be like, you know, all your senses, what it feels like. So you really, it's like you're living in that future moment at that point when you're visualizing that you're there. As you can see, this is the next month in. 1 month after starting the program and starting to calm my limbic system, I was able to go to the movie theaters. And be with the loud noise and all the lights. And that was so much fun. We went and saw Toy Story 4 and we had a great time. And I wanted a picture of us in the movie theater. And I have a habit of closing my eyes when I take a photo. So I open my eyes real big and we got a photo of it. I have to show you this. Oh my God, here it is. We were cracking up. This is, oh my God, look at that. But I could not stop laughing in the movie theater. And it felt so good to be laughing and just, almost peeing my pants laughing because of that photo. And that was so much fun. I didn't get to eat any popcorn because I hadn't really started my food incremental training yet. I brought my own snacks and water, but it was huge. I had so much fun, cracked up during the movie, and so proud of myself for going. That photo still cracks me up. And here I am. So in a couple of months in July, I am starting to feel better, starting to feel more comfortable in my skin. I think I started adding more vegetables because what happened was I became a pure vegan. And I mean pure, where it's just, I was only eating things I found pretty much at the farmer's market. It was just vegetables, potatoes, that was it. And I had oatmeal in the morning. And oh man, I was down to, I want to say like 10 foods. It was really, really slim. I had to slowly add foods back in. And one of my things, I used to drink lemon water and I wanted to be able to have lemon juice water again. And this is how you can break down goals is I started out, that sounds so silly, licking the lemon and getting my limbic system calm about having the lemon around. And then I'd have one drop and then a couple of drops. And now I can have lemon water again. I drink lemonade. It's amazing how little teeny steps can get you to your big goal. These are just some photos to show you how you can tell my smile is starting to get more natural, getting more life in my eyes. Tell you too, it's not here because it was March 2019. When you can tell here, I'm pretty skinny in July 2019, but I have added some muscle. I was so embarrassed and so disgusted to look at myself because I look anorexic. My Dr. Melky really thought I was anorexic. And I'm like, no, I want to eat food. I just can't. I just have reactions. It was so disheartening. It's hurt to sit on the toilet because I was so bony. I was just skin and bones. And it was hard to look in the mirror. So I don't have a lot of, that's why I don't have a lot of photos of big part of the earlier journey is because I didn't want photos. And it was hard to look at myself. And that was another thing I did was with Louise Hay. She does mirror work. So I practice talking to myself in the mirror, telling myself I love me, look at myself in the eyes. And that helped me start. I ended up having to love myself, see my soul and love myself, even when I was super skinny. And that was like a total self-acceptance. And that got me where I could start gaining weight again. It's amazing how you have to love yourself where you are to get where you want to go. And here's another example of incremental training and breaking your big goal into smaller steps was hiking. I used to hike. I loved hiking, but because of the chronic fatigue, adrenal fatigue, I was only able to walk on flat surfaces. So I started out with doing like 20 feet going up a hill and then coming back down. And then I would go like a 5 feet more. And then I got where I could go, oh, I see a tree 50 yards away, 100 yards away, be able to go to the tree, turn around, come back. Sometimes I'd go a little bit further. And before I know it, my goal was to do the 4-mile loop going up a hill and back down by Thanksgiving 2019. And I did it a couple of weeks early. I think it was a couple of weeks early, but I did it early. So proud of myself. And it shows you those little incremental steps get you to your big goal. And sometimes you reach your goal early, and sometimes you reach it a little bit later. Like I wanted to eat a whole hamburger on my birthday in August. I didn't get there. I ate half a hamburger, but I was even happy with that because I knew it was very close to my goal, but I didn't let that disappoint me or stop me. I'm like, I'm almost there. I will get there. A week later, I ate a whole burger. We celebrated. I put a huge sticker on my calendar because every time I did something, especially my big celebrations, I would put a sticker on my calendar to show the progress. And it really was a nice visual. So yeah, so I ate a whole burger a week after my birthday. And then 10 days later, I got to eat a burger in a restaurant, and I ate some sweet potato fries. I was adding more and more food to my menu. It was so exciting. And I hadn't been into a restaurant for about 2 years. So it was exciting to be eating in a restaurant. And look at that smile. And look, you can look at my arm, that you can tell that I was gaining more weight. So I was able to start eating more foods. It was so nice. And back to the heartburn, this isn't medical advice or anything as I'm telling my story, because I'm not a doctor, but the celery juice really helps stop, the cucumber juice too, stop the heartburn. And I was able to start eating more food. So yeah, that really helped me to eat more foods. And then another huge milestone was going to the Giants-Dodgers game in the Giants Stadium in October. And I have to tell you this story about visualization. I had this on my calendar for months, and it was a huge goal. This was a big deal for me because I was only driving to pick up my son and back. That was it. Because I was so nervous to be away from home and my food schedule. And the thought, I was excited to go, but it really made me nervous because we were going to have to take a train to the stadium. I was going to have to eat stadium food. I wasn't sure how it was going to go, but I visualized it. And when I did my visualizations, I went over the top with them. So I envisioned us, singing, the "Take Me Out to the Ball Game," "Take me out to the ball game," at the 7th inning, and doing the 7th inning stretch. And I went all out. I'm a Dodgers fan, and I was like, and the Dodgers win 10-0. Yeah. Woo. And as you know, those are very rare because those hardly ever happen in baseball. They didn't win 10-0, but they did win 9-0. Woohoo! So it went almost like my visualization. We took an Uber there, and the guy had on a lot of cologne, which, like, my chemical sensitivity would have went haywire back at the beginning. I was able to handle it. I ate a bunch of stadium food. We took a train back home. We ate more food. I drove there and back. It was an amazing day. I had so much fun with my friend Laura. She was very great with me and understanding, and it was an amazing day, one that I'll remember forever. And because of that, I did, and almost a week later, we went to Monterey. with my family. It was me, my husband, my son, my mom, and my son's friend, Joseph. Another amazing day. I ate a lot more different foods. I ate half a cookie because I really missed my chocolate. And we were gone for 12 hours, which was a long time for me. Because like I said, I was cooking from home. And anyways, we went to the Monterey Aquarium. We went to the Carmel Beach. And what was incredible is in the visualization that I had for this trip, there was dolphins. And as we were leaving, I was bummed. You had to walk up this hill. If you've ever been to Carmel Beach, you have to kind of walk up this hill to get back to the parking lot. And I was kind of bummed. I'm like, oh, I guess we won't see the dolphins. But I was happy because we had a perfect day and we were hungry, getting ready for food. And I'm like, I'm happy we had a great day. And as I got to the top of the hill, I saw these two ladies looking and pointing towards the ocean. And I was like, what are they looking at? So I go and look, and I look just in time to see a dolphin jump up. And there's like 6 dolphins jumping and playing in the water. I was so excited. I turn around. The boys are almost to the vehicle. My mom and husband are with me at the top. And I go to the boys. I know Joseph, I knew would respond quicker. So I'm yelling, Joseph, Joseph. And he and Seth turned around. And I'm like, come on. I'm so excited. And they're like, what? And I'm like, come here. And they run over. They get there and I point to the dolphins. Joseph was super excited because he hadn't seen them. Seth was excited. Joseph takes off down the hill to make a video. I had my arm full of stuff. I handed over to my son. I take off after Joseph. And we're filming the dolphins and we're having a great time. And we decided to go back. Well, he wanted to race me back. So I ran, we raced up the hill. And I surprised myself because I ran up that hill with no problem, even though I was still experiencing some chronic fatigue and adrenal fatigue. And I felt amazing at the top. I didn't feel out of breath. I didn't feel tired. It just felt invigorating and amazing. It was such an amazing day. So yeah, so that was on the 8th. 2 days later, I still had enough energy to go to the Jelly Belly factory with my mom. That was what was amazing too, because it was, if I did some kind of excursion before, it took me a few days to recover. I was able to go a couple of days later to the Jelly Belly factory, smell all the Jelly Bellies, another amazing day. And we ate out somewhere over there. So it was amazing. And as you can see, this photo of me laying on the grass, I'm starting to feel more like myself and starting to get my life back. And then October 25th, as you can see, this is a huge month of big achievements. I got to eat my buffalo wings again. Woo! I love hot wings. I love buffalo wings. If you're a friend of mine, you know I almost always order the buffalo wings. So that was huge for me. So excited about that. In November, here I am. We go down to Santa Cruz to check out the university there. Go banana slugs. Seth didn't become a banana slug, but he became an anteater. Go zot, zot, zot down in Irvine. And here's what I was telling you about. November 15th is when I started hiking the loop. Not just once. Once I did it once, I was able to do it consistently. I was doing it 2 times a week. It was amazing. And that first time I remember, I was close to the top. I was going to turn around. I'm like, I am there. I looked. And that's what's amazing when you're working towards your goals. When you're almost there reaching it, you get this push at the end where you just go for it a lot of times. I saw, Harold, let me stop this for a second. I saw the top and I was like, there it is. There, I'm going for it. It was hot and I went, and that it's really steep at the top, but that last 20 yards, I was pushing on my knees and I'm like, you've got this. You've got this. Come on. You're almost there. You're almost there. Being my own cheerleader. And I made it. I was so excited. I did a little dance. I took this photo at the top. I think that's the top. I think that's Mount Diablo in the back. And so proud of myself. That's what, if you keep on going, keep going towards your goal, take those little steps, you will get there. And then in November, another big month, we drove to my mom's. It's a 5-hour drive for Thanksgiving. And we ran in an SUV, and I decided I was driving it. So I wanted to get to where I was driving myself to my mom's again. I finally got to do it last summer because we went up there a couple of times with my son, but I finally was able to go by myself last summer. Big deal. But you know, what's funny is it didn't feel like a big deal. I was like, it's so nice to be able to do normal things again and have it be no big deal. But remembering that it is a big deal. So anyways, we drove this SUV, and there was a huge snowstorm going over the pass. And there was a point where we're coming down the pass, and I was between two big rigs, and the truck started sliding. And I went to put on the brake, and that made it worse. So I'm like, I can't do that. And I was getting nervous. I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't stop the car. And it was sliding. It's getting ready to slide into the big rig in front of us. My husband put the truck in a lower gear, and that was able to slow us down enough and keep on going. And it's funny, my son, later, I saw that he wrote for a school paper, he goes, I almost died. In his eyes, he might have thought so. I almost thought we were going to, but we made it. And when we got to town, to get a burger to eat, I almost kissed the ground. I was so happy we made it. And I drove a lot while we were up there. I drove back home, and that was a huge thing. I'm walking the dog, walking again. And as you can see, we're having fun. We stopped at an old school friend of mine makes these things, welds them, and this is a dinosaur. Everybody stopped. This is by my house and my mom's house, I should say. And we stopped and took some photos. So yeah, you can tell I'm getting my life back, and look how happy I am by that truck. Another big month in December, I went to my son's winter concert. And I love this photo of us where he's giving me the side eye because he loves being goofy. And you can tell how happy I am because I'm starting to feel more normal and doing more normal things. I hadn't been wearing makeup for almost 2 years, well, over a year. And I got a makeover, started wearing makeup again. I visualized the one that says Poinsettia Village. This was a visualization I did. We used to love going to see his light display, so we got to do that. And I'm just out and about enjoying life. And I love this January 19th photo because my silliness, I am more silly now than I've ever been in my life, except maybe when I was a kid. I embraced my silliness. I embraced my humor. And I was bringing up his boost and his cheese stick, and he was playing a game, so I put it on top of his head. And you can tell with his little smirk, he thought it was funny. I got to do some painting with my good friend Sally. And I colored my hair for the first time in over a year, because from the incremental training, at the beginning, I smelled the perfume inserts from like Ulta. That helped me get over my chemical sensitivity. I was able to start coloring my hair again in January of 2020. It just felt so good. And in February is about the time I felt like I was recovered. I didn't announce it yet because I was still experiencing a couple of things, but I was living life. I was enjoying life. I went to a convention and stayed in a hotel for the first time since my perfect storm. And I hardly slept that night, but we still went to the Winchester Mystery House. We were there for like 3 hours, did the whole tour. That was amazing. Really eating almost whatever I want at this point. And as you can tell, like I said, March almost fully recovered and just living life. And May is when I finally announced my recovery. All that hard work was paying off. I never gave up. That's one thing when going to your goals. Never give up. Have a big why. Have a big why that'll keep you going. My son was diagnosed with Crohn's back, I can't remember the year, but several years ago. And that was nightmarish too. But the way he handled it, I knew I couldn't disappoint him and give up, because he never did. So he was a big why. And yeah, and I wanted at least his senior year. I wanted to be there his senior year. So yeah, so the picture without a caption of me in the pink sweater is when I announced my recovery to the DNRS people. I was so excited, loving life. And as you can see, here I am, June 2020. I started having alcohol again every once in a while, and I'm just living life. And here's a photo from last summer of 2022. And I chose this picture, even though I took a trip with my son to Idaho in summer 2021, drove there and back. That was huge. But I did visualize this trip to the zoo, the Oakland Zoo. And I've always had a fear of heights. The gondola scared me to death, but I wanted to go see the California Trail. And I had visualized it many times and finally got to do it because it got closed down in 2020. And even though my hands were sweating, my whole body was saying, nope, don't go on, don't go on, don't go on. I was like, no, I've got this. You'll be fine. You'll be fine once you're in there. Sure enough, I loved it. The view was gorgeous. I really enjoyed it. The only time I got nervous when it went on the wheel the first time, and I told myself that's perfectly normal, and was able to ride it both times back down and enjoyed it. I actually wanted to be on the side that I could see the view. And again, this summer too, let me stop this for a second. This summer, it wasn't summer, this around Christmas time, my son and I went to the Long Beach Aquarium, and they had a tarantula you can hold. I've always been terrified of spiders. Never, never, never. I said, I will never hold a tarantula. I held a tarantula and I got it in my hand, and it was amazing. It was hard. My hands were sweating. It took me a good 15 minutes to get me brave enough to do it, but I did it. And I am now, because of this journey, I am grateful for it. It has made me very strong. It's made me very courageous. It's built up my confidence. It brought my silliness. And I'm comfortable pushing my comfort zone. And that's another thing I want to tell you guys is keep pushing that comfort zone. It gets easier and easier each time you do it. Don't let the fear stop you. You've got this. If I can do this, I went, and I didn't tell this in the story, but my symptoms were so bad that I would often have to sit on the couch with my eyes closed, because even the light from like this light was too bright for me. So I would sit there. I could only read one sentence at a time out of my book. I couldn't look at my phone for longer than a couple of minutes. My world had really shut down, but I was determined to get it back, to get my life back. And I took those steps That's all it takes. You can do it too. If I could do it, you can do it. You just take one little step at a time, keep showing up, be consistent, be persistent and determined, and you will get there. And work on your mindset. Work on rewiring and telling your limbic system that you're okay, you're safe to take on new challenges, and all that negative talk, switch it around, look at things at a different perspective, watch funny videos, make yourself laugh, because the more you can bring in those good, happy hormones, the easier it is to do things, the easier it is to keep your limbic system calm, to try the new things. And yeah, you've got this. I believe in you. I know you can do it. And have my belief be strong enough at the beginning. You can do it. So yeah, that's my story. Like I said, I'm grateful that I'm here. I am living life. I keep pushing my comfort zone, and I wouldn't wish this on my worst enemy, but in some ways I'm glad I went through this journey, because it made me a better person. I believe it's made me so much more compassionate for people, especially if they have a chronic disease. And yeah. So thank you so much for watching my video. If you enjoyed this, please subscribe, share it with anybody that you think might be able to benefit from this. And I'll see you soon.